This is Obi Wan's Jedi Starfighter, and a few days ago over on my community tab, I asked you guys for a few alternate build ideas using 2 copies of this set, and you guys certainly delivered, giving me a ton of amazing suggestions on what I could turn this set into. But there was just one answer that it seems a lot of you guys are very vocal about wanting an alternate build for, and that was the ARC 170. And I know I asked for suggestions using just 2 copies of this set, but because so many of you guys wanted an ARC 170, I decided we may as well go for full accuracy, and we'll get 3 copies of this so we have 3 cockpit pieces. And I've already ordered my 3rd and final copy, but in the meantime, while that set's sitting in the mail waiting to get turned into an ARC 170, let's take a look at the current alternate build I have using just 1 copy of this set. And using just 1 copy of the set, we have Obi Wan's new and improved Jedi Starfighter. Now, immediately from the get-go, this ship does not look like many other starfighters. It's not very aerodynamic, it's not very sleek or aggressive looking. To me, it almost looks like it should be some kind of civilian ship, but I'm really undecided on what I want this to be. So after you guys watch this video and get familiar with all the features on this ship, leave some comments down below on what kind of ship you think this should be or what it should be called. But enough about the potential name, let's go ahead and get into the Starfighter starting up front here. I've got a very sleek and smooth nose using a whole lot of those different sloping bricks and all the stickers that came with this set. Then right in the middle of the nose, I do have this little gap between the 2 plates because I like to imagine that this is some sort of engine intake. And then flanking the nose on either side, we just have some light blasters, and you'll very quickly notice that these are not the stud shooters that the set came with. But if you remember my video where I did 4 simple mods to Obi Wan Kenobi Starfighter, you'll remember me saying that I swapped out my stud shooters for these 2 pieces here. So that's why I don't have the stud shooter sitting in down here, but I did use all the extra parts from this build to create a small extra side build, which we'll look at later. But just to run the blasters, I tried to fill out the space as best as I could, making use of 1 more stickered piece just hanging under the wings there. And then of course the same things on the other side here. But then moving just above those blasters and back behind the nose, we get into the cockpit area of this ship. And I apologize for the reflection of the ring light in the cockpit windscreen. It's annoying me just as much as it's annoying you. But I can't really do anything about it or else the rest of the video is going to look like this. And this actually doesn't look too bad. Now the only downside of this cockpit section is that you actually have to take off the nose in order to access the inside because this entire build blocks the canopy from folding up. But it's simple enough and the nose comes off relatively easily and then it gives you easy access to your cockpit and the minifigure inside. With the nose and the windscreen taken off though, we can get a better look at Obi Wan in there with his control panel just in front of him. And then on either side of him, I do have some equipment holders in case he wants to hold his lightsaber, or if he's being a little uncivilized, he can toss a blaster on that other side.
So uncivilized.
We'll quickly get the figure out to cover the last little detail in here, and that's just that I use this large red sloping brick as the backrest for Kenobi's seat. But then that's pretty much all there is to the cockpit, so we'll go ahead and get Kenobi back inside and the windscreen back on, and we'll move on. Then moving on from the cockpit, we get onto the top of the ship, which really just leads into the 2 massive side wings, or the armor plating. Now just like the original version of Obi Wan Starfighter, the wings are actually asymmetrical, with R4 on one side, and then the radar dish and the Republic insignia on the other. The only other differences with the wings is that this side has a smooth 1x4 green tile, whereas on this side, it has to be a dark red one. Now I didn't realize this until I already finished building one wing and it was time to build this one, but this set only comes with 1 of those 1x4 tiles, so I just had to substitute it for red on this side, and it doesn't look the best, but I think it works. However, I think the colors definitely pop and it looks a lot better with that 1x4 tile in there. On the wings though, on top of all the sticker detailing that I tried to pack in there, I did try and use the plates to my advantage, creating this nice white stripe going along the top there, and then using these nice rounded pieces to create this perfect line going around R4's head. And the wings are relatively solid, but it's definitely not the best place to grab this ship. Because the wings are kept in place up at the top, if I grab at the bottom, it separates it up at the top, and then it causes the whole thing to break like that. So instead of gripping by the wings, I always put my hand on the underside, and then I have no problems when I'm swooshing it around. But before we get onto the engines, I want to brag about this little 1x4 plate right here. Now it's really nothing special, it's literally just a 1x4 plate on a clip, but as you've seen throughout this video, this ship has a lot of gaps and a lot of negative space where you can see your background through the ship. And as you can see, looking from above and behind the ship, there's quite a few gaps in there, and it really just annoys me. So I made this simple little build that clips into this hinge here, and then it falls down with gravity, and then now you really can't see as many of those gaps in there anymore. Now, of course, this single plate didn't solve every single gap issue we've seen throughout the video, but it definitely covers one of the angles that you're going to be seeing quite a lot when you're playing with the ship. Back towards the rear, traveling down that 1x4 plate, we get onto the rear engines. And these engines are almost unchanged from the original set, but I did take out a few pieces. There's not too many good looks of it on the box, but this is the best sneak peek I can give you. You can see on the original set there's quite a lot of gray pieces mixed in here, whereas on my model I decided to use mostly white with just that 1 large gray brick at the end there. And despite that change making the engine shorter, I think they just look a whole lot cleaner and they match the color scheme of the rest of the ship that much better. And then the last thing to go over on the engines here is this Technic axle connector that's connecting my 2 engines. This is an extra piece that doesn't actually come with the set. I actually got it off of one of my 501st battle packs. I did another alternate build recently and this was one of the extra parts laying around, so I decided to toss it on here to keep my engines just a little bit more stable, but they're not really necessary. As you can see, without that connector, my engines are still staying up and they're in line with each other just fine, but I like to use this piece to guarantee the stability so that they're never moving side to side from each other. But then besides this, we really just have the internals of the set, and I'll actually show it to you guys. Normally I wouldn't because it doesn't matter, but because this alternate build is very sparing on bricks, I wanted to show you guys the internal structure. So like I said, Obi Wan Starfighter doesn't come with very many bricks. Pretty much all the bricks you see in front of you here is all the bricks that the set has. And I tried to make the most of these bricks while still keeping the ship stable. The entire reason this alternate build even came to fruition is because of these two smooth 1x6 tiles. If I remove these tiles on here, the ship still holds itself together, but now there's nothing holding the top to the bottom of the ship. But then besides that, that pretty much covers the entire exterior overview of Kenobi's new Starfighter. But before we head to an outro, I did mention that I made a small little side build using the leftover pieces, so let's take a look at that. And this little build is what I'm calling the Kaminoan defense position. The majority of the wall is made up of extra plates that this set had left over that I wasn't able to tack onto the ship, but there is a small little bit on the inside as well. So on the outside here, we have the plates making up the two halves to the wall, and then in between the two walls, I used those stud shooters that I peeled off as a small defensive cannon to keep the intruders at bay. And then in order for somebody to control the cannon, they're going to need a control panel. So I decided to use two of these light green studs as the control panel screen pieces, and then I used this extra lightsaber hilt as a joystick to control the cannon and aim it at your different targets. The only downside is that your Kaminoans are going to have to bend over pretty far in order to stay protected. But with that, that pretty much covers the entire alternate build using just one copy of Obi Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this alternate build here. Don't forget to drop your naming suggestions down below because I really don't know what kind of fighter I want this to be. I toyed with the idea of it being an undercover or more civilian kind of Jedi Starfighter, but we'll see what you guys come up with down below. And of course, make sure you guys keep your eyes peeled for the ARC 170 alternate build using 3 copies of Obi Wan Starfighter. And as always, if you have any suggestions for any other alternate build or mod videos that you guys would like me to do, feel free to leave those down below. And on top of all the other suggestions I've asked you guys to drop in the comments, don't forget that we might be hitting 10K soon, and I would love to do a 10K milestone video. So if you guys have any specific requests or ideas that you guys would like me to do for 10,000 subscribers, drop those in the comments below as well. And if you'd like to support the channel and the alternate builds you see along with it, you can do so by leaving a like on this video, or whenever you're shopping for LEGO online, feel free to use my Amazon affiliate links in the description below. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.